What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 2.3%, 28.67 the low, 29.70 the high, and very low volume. So 46.9 million shares being traded, 76.7 is the average. So when it came down to this morning, we kind of had a couple of wrenches thrown in the broader market that just seemed to have screwed over everything. So over the weekend, we had a lot of optimism that a lot of that momentum from last week was going to roll over into this week. Plus, we have a lot of good data that could justify easily a rate cut. So even the data that came out this morning, so we had S&P and also ISM manufacturing data. S&P, that does include the small, mid, and large cap, whereas ISM kind of focuses more on the mid to large. So you can see the S&P did come in at 52.2, forecast of 51.9, versus the ISM came in at 48.2 versus 48.6. So in general, it goes to show that the smaller caps are expanding at a pretty good rate. So that's always a good thing, right? So that's one thing that really did kind of push the broader market higher. SoFi had a nice push right here. SoFi, I think overall was very abnormal. And this is kind of a common thing that I always kind of say with SoFi because it's true. A lot of the stocks I was looking at, they were getting artificially suppressed through algorithmic trading. And a lot of that is stemming from the data that did come out over the weekend in regards to Black Friday sales. So it does show that Black Friday sales did hit a record high of 11.8 billion. That is up 9.1% from the year prior. And this is just simply online sales. So you had this come out on the 29th, and then also something early this morning kind of saying the exact same thing. So yeah, this is kind of crazy stuff. In general, this is very solid data, but this isn't what the market wants, right? Because if we have consumers out there spending money, then why do we need a rate cut? That kind of pops the whole narrative of kind of negative data and justifying a rate cut, blah, blah, blah. So in general, market kind of went down because of this, because of consumers going out there and buying stuff. Shame on all of you, myself included. But nonetheless, beside the point though, this is one thing that really caused some disruption in the broader market. So in my opinion, it was just artificially being suppressed. Like I said, AI was just dragging down the broader market, but not in SoFi's case because you did see a lot of institutional transactions. Anything with a ask right here is a buy. So this is top down. Largest today was 38.3 million, 10.9, 8.2, 5.2. So big money has been, especially lately, more than happy to just say, hey, I'll buy more shares of SoFi. So that's SoFi seems to be very abnormal, completely inverse to the broader market. Still does get dragged down through algorithmic trading. That's simply because algorithmic trading is kind of the strongest force out there right now. But nonetheless, you did see a lot of good transactions, even shorts. They did return 311,000 shares. And in my opinion, there's more than enough available shares for them to really double and triple down. But the fact that they don't kind of shows that today's red day wasn't justified. So them returning 311,000 shares is pretty good. 10.09% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 119.54 million shares overall being shorted. Nothing really coming out associated to SoFi today, so no press releases, no SEC filings. They do have this, so the UBS Global Tech and AI Conference, so that is coming out on the 31st. There really hasn't been that much in kind of posts from even Anthony on social media. Only thing I wanted to bring up was posted by SoFi Insider. And this is just based on my own previous work experience where I used to work in HR way back in the day. And seeing this level of kind of sentiment and having a good environment is something that often is overlooked when we invest, right? Because sometimes people don't have time to care about the environment, the work environment and stuff like that. But reading just this, 8 years at SoFi, grateful for the journey, the people and everything we've built together, excited to keep growing and continue leading our data products team forward. This shows like amazing environment. And again, some people don't really put much kind of benefit on this, but I definitely do. So that goes to show that SoFi is solid. It's not toxic inside and just trying to put on like a facade or whatever else. This is a all around solid company. So that's just my own opinion. Some obviously you can't really buy based on this or sell, but it's a good FYI if you're kind of on the fence about investing in SoFi. So just wanted to kind of bring that up. Looking at the options, we had 34 million in calls, 9.2 in puts, so very low volume, but of that low volume, 50% of all the options being done were bullish in nature. And it looks like the bulls are feeling like a nice recovery is on the table to kind of between that $30 to $32 range. Some of that could be because of potentially SoFi's inclusion in S&P 500, which could come this Friday. One reason why I do feel that SoFi went down during kind of power hour was because there was a couple articles, more specifically this one, kind of saying who could be added, the likely candidates to be added to the S&P 500, and unfortunately doesn't list SoFi. So in general, not the greatest. We've seen Robinhood time and time again. Investors think that it's going to get added. You see a nice uptick, and then once it's announced that it wasn't, then it was always selling off. So that same type of price action could be occurring with SoFi. So it's one of those kind of things, buy the rumor, sell the news type of scenario. But then again, if SoFi for whatever reason does get added, you could see a very nice push higher. Going over here again, so the bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of 27 to 27.50. So they are kind of anticipating a little bit more of a push lower. Right now with it at 29.03, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 28.66 is going to be that key support you really want to watch for it to hold. And in fact, that was the low for today. So 28.67 was the low. So kind of this is a good support level. So if you're wanting to kind of dollar cost average, just watch for that. 32.17 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. Aside from all that fun stuff on the actual chart itself, it was still able to, despite the volatility, hold above that 50-day moving average. So that's a pretty big deal in my opinion, especially based on the technicals. So it does signal that once the market figures out its crap, realizes that that data, even though it is fairly bullish, that Black Friday data, it's still unofficial data. So I think that hopefully the market will forget all of that, and then we should really move on higher from here. That's just my opinion, of course, but nonetheless, looking at the market position, you see a lot of willing buyers. So despite everything, you see a lot of big money still willing to kind of back up the bus and buy SoFi. There really hasn't been that much in articles lately, no analyst ratings, but potentially with that recent or upcoming fireside chat in the next couple of trading days, you could see maybe 1 or 2 new ratings because of that. So all in all, pretty interesting day as per usual. Great start to December. So give yourself a shout out if you did buy, if you sold, or what did you do with SoFi. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.